What's up, guys? Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My goal is to help inspire you to make the changes in your daily habits that allow you to walk, talk, and breathe like a champion. Subscribe below so you guys don't miss any of the content. You're only one small change away from creating all the success that you deserve. Being a champion's a choice. The rest is up to you. I'll see you guys soon. So the big thing right now is, are we talking sport or are we talking entertainment with everything that's happening in combat sports? You know, you've got guys like myself that have dedicated their entire lives to martial arts, to combat, to fighting, and then you've got these YouTubers, these entertainers, I guess you can call them, that have built these followings that have essentially been able to bypass everything that guys like me that have been working for our entire lives. And perfect example, you know, this whole thing started when Jake Paul fought Ben Askren, and everybody was up in arms and it seemed like this fun thing to do, and then the event became the circus show, and then it became a reality that, oh my God, Ben Askren is gonna fight this YouTuber Jake Paul, who's a complete idiot, in a professional boxing match. And what came about that everybody was blown away, including myself, was how much these guys were making. You know, I remember my first professional fight, I made $150. I was in Tijuana, Mexico. I made $150 cash. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And as my career over the years progressed, and I've been making a little bit more money, I've been a part of camps that have made more money. And unfortunately, my career, I've never had any massive paydays in what I've been able to make in the fight itself. But you know, I have other guys and friends that have made decent money doing it, and it's because it's when you move the needle and people are following you and you're able to climb up those ranks, and good things do happen. You can create this financial stability. But what's happening now is when the sport and the entertainment industry came together and created this fight between Jake Paul and Ben Askren, it was on the same night as the UFC, and we had the championship title fight between Kamaru Usman and oh my God, I'm blanking out. George Masvidal, that's right, I completely blank. So we had the title fight for that one, two of the baddest dudes on the planet, the same night as Ben Askren and Jake Paul. And Ben Askren went out there and got knocked out. Ben Askren, being a world-class athlete, UFC veteran, goes out and gets knocked out by a YouTuber in the first round, makes $500,000, while he alone made more than Usman and Masvidal combined in the main event of the UFC. There's something wrong with that. You have two of the baddest dudes on the planet that are risking their lives. And then we get a guy who didn't make it in the UFC, who not only went out and fought a YouTuber that he got knocked out, he looked terrible. I mean, he looked like a guy that hadn't worked out in 6 years and had every excuse in the book for why he couldn't get off the couch. And yet he made $500,000. He made more that night than the main event of the UFC. Then, just this last weekend, we had the second installment of it, which was Floyd Mayweather, the arguably best, not even pound for pound, just of all time, boxer, fight Logan Paul, Jake Paul's brother, another YouTuber. And you have these boxers that have worked their entire lives. I'm talking boxers, you know, they're starting out at the early age, they're kids, and they've been working up to get to these championship fights, and hopefully one day you get to step in the ring with an elite champion so you can get that paycheck that's gonna change your life. And now we've got this situation where we've got YouTubers, we've got entertainment people, we've got whoever else, and they're able to get in the ring because of their clout of who they are and what kind of following they have, and they can pick who they're gonna get in the ring with. So if we thought Ben Askren making $500,000 against Jake Paul was crazy, Logan Paul made $20 million to fight an 8-round exhibition against Floyd Mayweather, who made $100 million to fight a YouTuber in Logan Paul. Now let me paint a picture for you. Logan Paul is 0-1 as a professional boxer. He now was able to step in the ring with the greatest of all time and make $20 million to go 8 rounds with a guy who didn't even have to fight. There was a guarantee on this, so there was no referees, there was no judges. If there was a knockout, they would call it a knockout. But Floyd Mayweather did not need to finish with a knockout, so he just coasted. He threw a couple shots, he tried to make some things happen, but he didn't have to take any risks. There was no need to. Why would he take a risk against a guy that was, 50 pounds bigger than him? He was 50 pounds bigger. The guy's an 0-1 boxer, strong guy. Why would he take a risk to open up to get knocked out by a YouTuber when the greatest boxers in the sport could not do that to him? What do you think's gonna happen? He was able to step in the ring, have an 8-round sparring match, and get paid $100 million. And here's the best part about it. We paid for it. We are paying to support this exhibition, this facade. And then it starts to rise the question, is this bad? Is the idea of this sport or entertainment thing bad for sports? Or is this finally the opportunity that athletes are needing when they can get up to a level and maybe they could fight one of these big names from another industry and make this giant paycheck that they're finally gonna be able to change their lives with? Because let's be honest, combat sports, you could be in the greatest stage in the world, you can be in the UFC, you could even be a contender, but you're still just getting by. People think that because you fight on TV, that you fight in the UFC, that you're making millions of dollars. Listen, I will tell you firsthand that I know so many guys that are still struggling to get by. Yeah, you might make $50,000 a fight, but you've got 20% going here, 30% going to taxes, 10% going here, this cut going there, and by the time it comes back to you, you're barely able to pay rent. And you're fighting the toughest athletes in the world that have dedicated their lives to this. So then, again, it comes back to that question, is this good for sport or is this good for entertainment? And my opinion, I actually don't mind it. I of course, as an athlete, I'm like, man, you gotta wait your line, but we're not talking about becoming the best fighter in the world. We're talking about making a fat paycheck. Everything's about taking opportunity, and these entertainers have created a platform so they can make the opportunities that they want to have to happen. And that's what's happening now. You know, we've got this entrepreneurial generation now where people are like, hey, I can do that. I just have to figure out a way to make it make sense so the needle moves. I mean, when you're getting 4,000 or 4 million pay-per-view buys, when the biggest fights in the world aren't even doing that, well, then there's something there. You're making bigger paychecks than you would have on your own stage. So there's something there. What it comes down to is we have to be able to own what we do and be able to create the opportunities that we generate with it. You know, everybody's waiting for something to be handed to them. Everybody's waiting to get to the next thing. And what we can learn from this is it's not about waiting. It's about taking what you have right now and finding the ways that you can turn this into the next opportunity. How can you create an angle to where it's going to benefit you and those around you? Because now what these guys have done is created an opportunity for so many other people to be able to go, okay, if they did it, so can I. That's all this is really about. Now, sometimes in fighting, that's not the case. Oh, I got the world championship fight. Well, there's a lot of politics. This is simply about making it happen. Creating an opportunity on your own feet, digging your hands in the ground and digging your own way there. That's the only way anything's really gonna happen, and today's entrepreneurs know that. There's no book coming out of COVID, there's no person to ask how you can survive it. You have to learn how to do it for you, how it works for you. And if you are able to create that opportunity, there's endless amounts of opportunity and there's endless amounts of wealth that could be waiting for you if you are willing to do the work. Who gives a shit what people say, oh, you can't do that, watch me. Who gives a shit for the people that have failed and say, oh, maybe you should try something else, watch me. That's what we're learning right now. I don't like these Paul brothers, I don't like all these joke acts, but here's the deal. They are showing that it can be done. If you want to do it, you can achieve anything. The idea of being a champion, I talk about this all the time, is a choice, and that's what these guys are doing. They are choosing to make things happen that other people say are impossible. They are taking the impossible, creating it as possible, and they are making their own way. To me, I have to respect that. It's extremely impressive, the fact that they are willing to go on their own way, and they are willing to go on these routes that people are like, that's impossible. And they're doing it. So, going back to the original question, sport or entertainment, I think the two are becoming one. You know, we learned that from WWE, WWF, Conor McGregor. The entertainment is what moves things. And I think that we are going to start seeing a dynamic in the blending of entertainment sports or entertainment businesses. And I think that that's what's going to happen. I would love to hear your input. I want to hear your guys' thoughts, what you guys think about not only these fights, but things moving forward if it was like that. I mean, there's so many fights that you could hypothetically make that it would be just interesting. I mean, I remember when I was growing up, there was that MTV show, Celebrity Deathmatch, right? It was just one of those things where, what if they fought? Yeah, it was to the death. It was a little bit different, you know, but what if they did fight? You'd watch the episode just to see who would win. And I think we're in this type of era now where we're interested in it. You know, it's not like celebrity boxing where, you know, you're like, oh my God, neither one of these guys can fight. This is just terrible. We've seen that. But now we're watching guys who are actually training for something, and they're going in there with a legit athlete, somebody who could potentially really put it on them. Now we're seeing what happens, you know. Of course, I think in general the next fight's going to be Logan Paul versus Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley was a former UFC world champion. I'm going to go out and say I actually think Logan Paul can beat him. Not because I think that Woodley is a bad fighter, he's incredible. But I think the hype and the pressure around everything is going to make him not want to lose to Jake Paul. I don't know if he said Logan Paul, but it's Jake Paul that's fighting him. What's that?
It's Jake Paul.
It's Jake Paul, yeah. So it's Jake Paul. I actually think Jake Paul has an opportunity, he has a chance. You know, Woodley is a phenomenal wrestler, he's a hard puncher, but I think when the pressure's on him and everything happening with this freak show, you cannot take away the possibility of Jake Paul beating him. And as much as it kills me to say it, that's my pick. I'm going to say I think Jake Paul beats Tyron Woodley. It kills me to say it because it's my industry. But it's a possibility. And one thing that they've shown is that anything is possible. And I'm going to end it right there. I want to hear your thoughts. Comment on the episode. Leave your feedback. I want to hear from you guys. As always, remember, being a champion is a choice. I'll see you next time. We're making the same mistakes over and over and over. And that can be something as stupid as showing up to practice late. That translates to everything. It means you are not willing to make the adjustments in your own life that you need to make in your game. Everything translates. If you don't think so, go fucking fight. Watch. We'll end it on that. No breakout today. Tomorrow, clean your ass, head out of your ass.